Hello. So now we're getting on to the fun stuff. And before we start to dive into verbs and tenses and aspects and mood and oh, it's all so wonderful, you might think it sounds horrible and complicated, but I promise it isn't. And we have got a really simple way to visualize and think about these things to make them easy for you. But that's in the next lessons. Before we move on to those, we need to understand a little bit more about sentence structure. Remember, in our first basic sentence lesson, we revised that a sentence has to have a capital letter, it has to have punctuation at the end, a full stop or a question mark or an exclamation mark, and it has to have a subject and it has to have a predicate. And remember, the subject is the thing that does the action and the predicate is the action that it does. So we can think of the sentence, the dog chases the ball, and the dog is the subject. It does the action. Chases the ball is the predicate. It's the thing that the dog does. Okay, but if we now go that step further and actually look at that predicate in a little bit more detail, there's another noun in there, isn't there? The ball. So that is the object of the sentence. So the subject does the action. The object is the thing that has the action done to it. So the dog chases the ball, but the ball is chased. Okay, so the dog is the subject, the ball has the action done to it, and it's the object of the sentence. So why do we need to know this? We just need an understanding of what we're talking about when we think about subject and object. Because when we get these word lists of pronouns, for example, you'll see those two terms because we use slightly different grammar in those two positions in the sentences. So when we're talking about pronouns, we think about the first person, the second person, and the third person. The first person is I and we in the singular and the plural. The second person is you and you if I'm talking to a group of people. The third person is he, she, and it, and they if we're talking in the plural. Okay? So the subject pronouns are I, you, he, she, it in the singular, we, you, and they in the plural. When we talk about the object pronouns, they're slightly different. So instead of saying I, we'd say me. You is the same. But instead of saying he and she, we say him and her. It stays the same. Instead of saying we, we'd say us. Again, you plural is the same. And instead of saying they, we'd say them. So this is simpler when we actually think of sentences with these in. So let's just change these positions one at a time. Let's do it scientifically to make it as clear as possible. Okay, so we could say I like the dog. You like the dog. He likes the dog. She likes the dog. It likes the dog. We like the dog. You like the dog. They like the dog. But if we're going to be then changing it so that we've got that object position changing, we could say the dog likes me. You see? So we're using me instead of I. The dog likes me. The dog likes you. The dog likes him. The dog likes her. The dog likes it. The dog likes us. The dog likes you. The dog likes them. Okay? So you can see that if we're using pronouns in those two different positions, we need to understand the naming of those two positions when we're actually learning those words. Okay, so subject does the action. The object is the thing that has the action done to it. Okay? I hope that makes a bit more sense. Bye bye.